A routine 4-0 win with rivals dropping points. This really was the perfect end to a perfect week for Boro. What is up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Project Boro, and it has been a brilliant week for Boro, and it was capped off with pretty much a perfect day, really. An immense performance, a dominant performance, 4 goals, a clean sheet, and thus far, with still Coventry to play on Monday, of course, rivals dropping huge points in the automatic promotion race. Our striker getting himself a brace, big players back from injury, some coming on, some in the squad. It really was as good as it probably gets if you're a football fan and a Boro fan today, because Boro swept aside Preston with ease by 4-0, and that has extended our gap into second, with Ipswich getting beat away at Sheffield United. A huge day back at home, and as I said, I know nothing. Clearly, the previews, they're absolutely rubbish, aren't they? Because honestly, I honestly believed that Preston would provide an incredibly tough test and an awkward test and a real awkward side, a plucky side who would defend hard and make it really tough for Boro. And as I said, looking at their recent form, depending on how much you read into it and how much of their recent form was truly bad, their away form still was pretty good. They've got points from a lot of good places this season and often are good for a point or two. But today, it was utter dominance, and it was a perfect mix between a Boro side being very, very good, but also a Preston side being very, very bad. I mean, I'm not just going to say Boro only won because Preston were crap, and I'm not going to say Preston lost because Boro were good. It was both. We were fantastic at times, we were ruthless, we put them to the sword, but they were also really, really bad, and I was surprised by how easy and routine the game was in the end. But we'll get on to that and why in a little bit. Also, the lineup. Well, what do I know once again? Because I don't know what the lineup was, to be honest with you. FootMob says a 4-3-3. It looked like a 3-5-2 or a 3-4-2-1 or a back 3 or a back 5. I don't know what formation we played. Answers on a postcard. You know, at times, and this has Alan Brown in the midfield 3. He wasn't. He was in sort of a right wing back position out of possession, with Ayling to his left, and then when we did have possession, he would sort of advance and almost be a right winger. There were also times in the game where Ayling would become a right back and Brown would then invert. Honestly, whatever we played today, it worked. That's all I'm going to say. And as we learnt when Kim Hellberg came in, he's not a coach for formation or structure. It's incredibly fluid. It's incredibly adaptable. He's not strung to a set formation or style of play, and you could very much tell that today. So all I'm going to say is that was the starting 11 in whatever which shape they were in. And I guess it was correct then, because I did have Alan Brown in there. Or did I take Alan Brown out, actually? Maybe I did. I can't quite remember. But yeah, Matt Targett, Alison Malander, Dale Fry, Luke Ayling and Alan Brown formed some sort of a defence with Hayden Morris and Hayden Attey in midfield. Castledine did get the start we've been pushing to see with Conway and Whittaker up front. And as I said in the preview, the one thing I probably did get right was how big the first goal is. Now, we know how important the first goal is for Boro games, and as I say, 100% record when going in front this season, and that record still stands. Boro took the lead after only 9 minutes in this game, and you have such confidence in this team that when that first goal goes in, it's pretty much game over. And I think it was the worst case scenario for Preston, that Boro went 1-0 up. And as I say, that the longer the game went 0-0, it would have maybe benefited them. God forbid we go a goal down. We almost did, to be fair. The brightest period of the game for Preston, I have to say, was in the first 5 minutes, and the momentum bar you can see. Their only real bright spell of severe pressure or some form of pressure came in the first 5 minutes. They come out the blocks a little bit quicker than Boro. They had an accumulation of set pieces in the first few minutes that Boro had to defend. There was one that dropped awkwardly. Looked like it hit the hand of Matt Targett, although I wouldn't say it was a handball. I think it's Jebison, it may have been. It was one of the Preston centre forwards. I think it was Jebison. He did get there, had a stab at it, closed down by Sol Bryn. That was their only real chance of the whole game, to be honest. I mean, we'll get onto the stats a little bit later, but I don't remember Preston having another shot after that. But they had an initial 5-minute burst before Boro truly got a grip of the game, and after that, it was pure dominance. You know, Preston were trying to press Boro, and we were playing around them, and we were making space with ease, you know, getting into some really, really good areas, pulling them out of certain positions, creating space for ourselves, and attacking and playing through the thirds with real fluidity. It was a fantastic watch, and we were playing through them with ease, whether it was out wide or through the centre. And then, you know, alternatively on the other side of it, Preston were also trying to play out from the back, and the amount of times Boro pressed and caught them out was unbelievable. I was so surprised to see Preston persisted with it, to be honest. I don't think I've seen a side at the Riverside this season be so bad on the ball, be so bad in possession, and lose it in their own third, in their own box, as often as this. But, you know, that was down to Boro's brilliant press. We were good at pressing, winning the ball back high. They tried it. We just played around them. There was just a clear gulf in class today. Boro were absolutely outstanding on and off the ball at times. As I say, Alan Brown, against his former club, got another goal, his second goal in 2 games for Alan Brown. And again, right wing back, what's he doing on the literally right wing? He was the furthest forward at one point. But yeah, picked out by the guy on the other side, Matt Targett, sees Alan Brown making a run off the right-hand side. I think he's up against Gibson, who for me just has to be stronger, honestly. I think it's Gibson. He just gets out-muscled way too easily. Maybe it was him or Lewis, but yeah, they've got hold of each other. It's a bit of a coming together, but I don't think it's a real push to the floor by Brown. I think he's stronger, quicker, sharper, gets ahead of him, and there is not a Preston player in sight, and he just has the time to bring it down with his right foot, finish it between the keeper's legs with his left, and that's the first goal Boro were looking for. And then it was a case of how many, as we've seen so many times with this Boro team. They weren't happy to just sit back and defend their lead there. They wanted more, and they wanted them quickly. And Tommy Conway was back on the score sheet yet again. You wait months and months for a goal from open play, and 3 have now came in a matter of days. He made a fantastic run off of the defence on the 28th minute. He was played onside by Offia, I think it is, Offia. Played onside, which was really poor defensively, I've got to say, from Preston. As I say, Boro carved their chances and goals out really well, but we were helped massively at times by Preston and some really, really poor football. But so often in the first half, and this was something Boro were doing really well, Preston were playing with a very high line, and they were also a little bit slow and sluggish in defence, and Boro kept trying to hit them in behind time and time again, and you've got some fantastic players to do that. You know, Adelson Malanda, weight of pass, ability to pass is brilliant. Matt Targett's also another great passer of the ball, as we saw for the first goal. Luke Ayling's got one of the best passes in the team, and the amount of times, whether it was Conway or Whittaker or Castledine, were making diagonal runs across the defenders and in behind, the amount of times we almost got in was untrue, and it was a clear threat that we were trying to target with Preston, and one finally did pay off, and it was a brilliantly timed run by Tommy Conway. As I say, really poor though from Preston's back line to play him onside as easily as they did, and Tommy Conway in through, 1v1, in on goal, finishes it. Very good finish from him between the keeper's legs. Keeper gets a slight touch on it, but it goes in the bottom corner. Would the Conway of a few weeks ago fluff that goal? Who knows? But it's a great finish from him. Great run as well, I've got to say. Brilliant run, well timed. Poor from Preston's defence, but that made it 2. And then just before half-time, it was 3. And this all came from Preston's own doing. I was actually on the concourse because I had a phone call at the time, missed the goal, and I couldn't believe it when I saw it, because Preston was still persisting on playing out from the back as much as they just didn't look comfortable at all. The goalkeeper rolled it out to Gibson, who just gets it all wrong. He doesn't know which foot to go through. Credit to Morgan Whittaker, pressing really aggressively, nicks it off him, and just slips it beneath the goalkeeper to make it 3. We could have had plenty more, though. There was loads of other chances in that half that Boro didn't quite make the most of. Alan Brown had another one. Again, brilliant football, a great ball from the right-hand side. Again, you got Luke Ayling at the right centre-back playing at right wing-back or right-back. Alan Brown's in the box with our striker. Exactly like what we heard about Kim Hellberg's Hammerby side. There's just players popping up here, there and everywhere. But Alan Brown does well initially to get it onto his weaker foot, but then doesn't quite get a grip of it, drags it wide. So we go into the break 3-0 up, and it's game over, isn't it, at that point? It's a second half where you'd imagine Preston are just wanting to limit the damage, and Boro want to try and hopefully bag a few more and really bolster the goal difference. And it didn't take us long to get a fourth goal, because Tommy Conway did make it 4 on the 54th minute. It was it preceded a red card from Preston. Jordan Storey sent off. Again, Boro pressing the Preston defence. Again, they're really slow on the ball. Really surprised to see Jordan Storey caught out, too slow. Conway, brilliant energy press, nicks in front of him, and then goes down. And from where I was in the north, I wasn't sure what happened. I thought at first Conway had nicked the ball and then lost his footing, lost his balance. But of course, going in on goal, he was in 1v1. There was no reason for him to throw himself to the floor. The referee adjudged Jordan Storey to have pulled him down. Now, I've not seen enough definitive evidence to suggest there was a pull or a tug or a kick. I don't know. You tell me in the comments. Maybe there was a slight tug on the shorts. I did see Conway's shorts look like they'd fallen a little bit when he did go to ground. So maybe there was a slight sneaky pull on Conway as he did go through. But the referee must have saw something, because he gave Jordan Storey a straight red card. And if Preston's day hadn't been bad enough, they were down to 10 men and 3 goals down with 40 minutes to go. And as I say, 4 minutes later, Boro did make themselves the fourth. And again, really poor from Preston, but really well done from Boro. Castledine gets a free kick on the left-hand side. We've seen and heard that set pieces are his strength. He does brilliantly, gets it up and down over the wall perfectly, so much so it actually is going in the bottom corner. The goalkeeper saves it and puts it straight back into a dangerous area. It's a really bad piece of goalkeeping by Jack Walton, who just parries it straight back into danger. None of the Preston defence react at all. It's like musical chairs in the Preston box. Not one of them anticipates the ball dropping. The only man who does is Conway again, who taps it into an empty net. And again, what I will say about Conway, both of his goals today were real top centre-forward goals. You know, we've talked about is he or is he not a centre-forward, you know, how often he drifts onto the left-hand side, and at times that's left us with no one centrally. You know, that happened a lot at West Brom. Today, Conway didn't drift out wide almost at all. You know, he was central for most of the game. He made some fantastic runs in behind. He took his first goal really well, a proper centre-forwards goal in 1v1 against the keeper. The second one was a really good poacher's effort. So well played to Tommy Conway for keeping his head down, continuing to work hard, clearly doing enough to keep himself in the side. Hellberg really, really likes him, and you can see why, because of his work ethic and his energy, which has never been questioned once. It was just the goals that weren't coming with it. But now, 3 goals in 2 games, different goals, strikers' goals, brilliant, well done, Tommy Conway. And I guess if we want to be really picky, we could have had a few more. You know, I think we sort of took our foot off a little bit after that. We were happy to preserve. I get it. We've had a lot of games in a really quick week. Literally had barely any time between playing last on Wednesday and then first on a Saturday. I mean, you don't get much less time between games at all in the Championship than that. So I don't blame them for preserving the players. A couple of returning names did come on, though. We saw the return of Riley McGree, which is such a big boost to see him back and come off the bench as well. Finley Munro made his debut. He came on late on. Callum Britton was back on the bench as well after what we thought might have been a season ender. You know, back at, was it Derby? I think it was. He's back already. Another huge boost. So yeah, to see, you know, what players who I think are the best in their position in this team come back in to the squad is a fantastic boost. One more game noteworthy thing as well. If there was any question around Jordan Storey's being a red card or not, there was a challenge second half on Addison Malanda, which absolutely should have been. Now, I don't recall exactly which Preston player it was who made the challenge, but you'll see it on screen. He goes in, he almost karate kicks him, hits his head, I think, flatters Addison Malanda, merely yards away from the referee, plays on. Advantage. It's a head injury, firstly. Why have you not blown for that at the very least? But he plays on, plays the advantage, and then gives, you know, a yellow card. Is it Jordan Thompson? That might have been a bit too early in the game, actually. Maybe. I'm trying to see who was booked for Preston, because, yeah, they only got a yellow card at the time. I think it was around the 85th minute. Jordan Thompson, it was a yellow card. And Malanda had to go off after that. Apparently he's fine, he's good. It was just a real heavy hit. But if there was any question marks over the first red card, there was none for that challenge which Preston got away with. So there should have been one red card at the very least for Preston out there today. But yes, 4-0 in the end. Very, very comfortable, as routine of wins as it gets for Boro. Maybe our most comfortable home win of the season from what I can remember. But Boro were great, Boro were fantastic, Preston were absolutely horrific. And the stats back that up as well. As we see under Kim Hellberg, Boro dominated possession, 16 shots, 8 on target, 4 of them big chances, all of them converted. A very clinical Boro side out there today. A total XG of 2.83 to Preston's 0.4. And that for me just proves sheer dominance. And you can see Preston had 4 shots, only 1 on target, and it was Jebison's in the second minute, which was at the very beginning of the game. After that, Sol Bryn did not have a thing to do. So brilliant defending from Boro and a fantastic all-round performance. Looking at the lineup, I could pull out everybody, to be honest. I'm not going to mention Sol because he had a day off, let's be honest. But defensively, how many times this season have we seen goal contributions from Boro's defenders? I don't remember a Boro team ever having this many from defence. Target, Ayling, Britton, Brown when he's played at right back. Goals and assists coming from everywhere. And that's really helped. You've got creative players that far back in the pitch. Target with a great cross. Ayling with a great cross. They deserve immense credit, not just for how good they are defensively and their leadership qualities within the team, but also they're also contributing at the top end of the pitch, which is crazy, but it's a fantastic tool for Boro to have in their armoury. Dale Fry was back in the starting 11 today. I might not have mentioned that earlier. Brilliant. Slotted back in perfectly. Had a flawless day at the office, did Dale Fry. Hackney and Morris ran the show as they always do. Hackney was once again absolutely phenomenal. Alan Brown, another goal. Should have had 2. It's been a great few days for him. He's getting back to his best. Whittaker actually didn't have a great game, I thought, on the whole. I thought at times... First half, we got into some really good positions attacking-wise, and his touch let him down quite a lot. But he did get a goal, and credit to him for charging down the defender and putting it away. And we saw Leo Castledine make his debut, a full debut, and I really, really liked what I saw from him. And I think it's telling that he's come straight through the door. Hellberg's already starting him and has more faith in him than Hansen, who was an unused sub. Nipan, unused sub. Hamilton, not even in the squad. So I think Hellberg knows what players he wants and which players he prefers, and Castledine has come straight in, didn't look out of place. For a player who's played only in League 1 and League 2, he didn't look out of place at all. He was really good, really safe in possession, won us some really good fouls, protected the ball well, really good low centre of gravity. He's a good ball carrier as well, and a good threat too. And his free kick was what led to Boro's 4th. So a great debut from him. And of course, Tommy Conway, have to finish on him. A brace, delighted for him. It's been a very, very rough season for Conway at times, where he's missed some big chances and went quite a while without scoring a goal from open play. But as I say, his 2 goals today were very much of a centre forward who is in the right place at the right time, making the right runs, taking his opportunities. So fair play, Conway. Here's hoping this is the start of a real purple patch for him. As I said, coming off the bench, Silvera, Gilbert, Bergzog, McGree. Massive to see him back. Munro as well made his debut too, which was great to see. You've also got Callum Britton on that bench as well. So if Boro have got through the worst of it, and we have got through a very, very busy period with a lot of injuries, we're coming out the other side, still picking up really good points, a lot of victories, and players are coming back to make us stronger, then that's fantastic. And there's Alfie Jones to come back, there's David Strelitz to come back, there's Kali Sen to come back, Alex Bangura. It's hopefully, fingers crossed, we don't have any more injuries, we don't have any setbacks, the squad can only get stronger, the fixtures will ease a little bit, and Boro are now really going to kick on, and that will be, hopefully, the ideal situation, because, oh yes, I was in Stack in Boro after the game, spend a few hours in there with some friends, watching the 3 o'clockers come in, and to say we were cheering the hell out of the Sheffield United result is an understatement, because Ipswich lost. Their questionable away form has came back to bite them once again. This is the away league table. Boro top of it, 25 points from 15 games. Ipswich 13th, 4 wins, 4 draws, 5 defeats. They are just not convincing on the road, and they lost 3-1 to Blades. We've got to go there in a few weeks, so I'm not going to get myself too excited because we have to go to Sheffield United, and that will not be easy. But for now, Ipswich's defeat means Boro have capitalised completely on them losing, which means the gap is now 5 points to third. Ipswich do have a game in hand. Let's not forget to Pompey, away from home, in a week or so. But even if they were to win, second spot is still Boro's no matter what, which is fantastic. And now, the gap to Cov's 3 points. They go to Norwich on Monday night, and Norwich are a side who have turned their form around somewhat. They're out the bottom 3. They're winning games. They're scoring goals. I personally would not want to go to Norwich on a Monday night. It will take, and you know what, if it happens, fair play to Coventry. I don't think there's many tougher games right now than away at Norwich on a Monday night. Norwich have been on fire away from home. At home, they have lost their last 2 to Watford and Stoke to 0. So they have had a lot more joy at or away from home than they have at home. So maybe that's something for Coventry to look at. But yeah, they're playing well, Norwich, at the minute, and they're feeling good. So pressure's on Coventry. Pressure is on Coventry City to go there on Monday and pull out a 6-point gap to Boro. Again, if they draw, the gap is 4 points, which I still think is great. That means the gap to Cov is smaller than the gap to Ipswich, and if it stays that way for the rest of the season, I will be an extremely happy Boro fan. So, yeah, fantastic week, 9 points from 9. As I said, after Stoke, you've navigated 2 very tough away games, come out with maximum points. You've then not slacked off. You've then capitalised again with a home game at the end of the week where you've been absolutely fantastic, utterly dominant, brushing aside Preston with ease. And now we have a week to finally have what has felt like a well-needed break, with even more players hopefully coming back for the next few games to come. Norwich up next at home. We'll be back to preview that at some point next week. And then these 2 games are the 2 we need to try and negotiate. Sheffield United away, Coventry away. 2 of the toughest away teams in the whole league, or away games in the league, I would say. I think with some decent games to come after that, especially at home, if you can get through them and you can go unbeaten, take some points and still be second, I think we can kick on into March, and we've got a really tough little group of games out the way then. But of course, Norwich are to come next, and that's the game we've got to focus on. But yet a huge step for Boro today. And also, one thing I've not mentioned, let's not get too carried away. Let's not forget the goalless playoffs. Another big win over another side who were on the periphery of the playoff places. We beat Stoke, who was 7th midweek. We've beat Preston, who was 6th. Can't recall what the gap was. Maybe it is the same as what it was to 7th before kickoff, but a 12-point gap to 7th is massive. So Boro very much pulling themselves away from some of the teams, even in the playoffs. Let's hope it is a 3-horse race and Boro can come out in the top 2. But let me know your thoughts, feelings in the comment section below. Like the video as always. If you've enjoyed it, subscribe to the channel. Of course, as I say, reviews and previews of every Boro game on the channel. All the Project Boro videos are available in audio form via your chosen podcast provider. Linktree is in the description, and there will be probably a lot of transfer content coming next week as we approach deadline day. So keep tuned and keep subscribed for all your transfer updates here on the channel next week. But until then, guys, thanks for watching. Take care and up the Boro.